and from the bathroom to the bedroom. The king also possessed this curious striptease version of the Mona Lisa, called the Mona Vanna. What could possibly connect this and Leonardo's masterpiece?
Its origins are obscure, but it's clearly related to the portrait of Mona Lisa, except she's not wearing anything. Now, there is a rather unusual taste at the court of Francis I for nude portraits of respectable women. There's a great one of two women, his mistress and her sister, in the bath, pinching each other's nipples. Now, this is actually a way of celebrating their fecundity, because breast milk is a symbol of the way that you create children. So the Mona Vanna may fit in best with the taste of the French court.
The Mona Vanna was probably the work of Leonardo's favorite pupil, Salai. The original Mona Lisa stayed locked away in the royal collection until the people of France decided they didn't want a monarchy anymore. When the French Revolution began in 1789, the aristocracy was sent in their thousands to the guillotine. Soon, King Louis XVI and his queen, Marie Antoinette, would themselves be executed. The royal collections were plundered, and the Palace of the Louvre became a people's museum. And it was there that the Mona Lisa was put on public view for the first time. When Napoleon came to power and was crowned Emperor of France, one of the first demands he made was to have the Mona Lisa removed from the Louvre and placed in his private bedroom in the Tuileries, thus reviving the tradition of the royal collection. He kept her there for nearly a decade and called her Madame Lisa. His fascination with Leonardo continued as he invaded Italy. And there he found Leonardo's drawings and notebooks. He took those back to France too. He said, all men of genius are French, no matter what their country of birth. After the fall of Napoleon, the Mona Lisa returns to the Louvre and starts its life as a major tourist attraction in the French capital. Then, 100 years on August the 21st, 1911, in the early hours of the morning, she becomes the leading player in a story of crime, politics, and extortion. The thief had spent the Sunday night hiding in the building. While the security guard was asleep, he slipped out through a back door into the courtyard and then made his escape along one of the quays of the River Seine. Visitors to the Louvre were undeterred. For some time afterwards, they queued up to contemplate the blank space where the Mona Lisa had once hung. The theft made headline news around the world. A massive police hunt was launched, and among those suspects brought in for questioning was a radical young Spanish artist called Pablo Picasso. But by this time, the Mona Lisa was a long way away. On November the 11th, 1913, Alfredo Geri, a Florentine antiques dealer, received a letter offering him the Mona Lisa. The price would be £500,000 lira. In today's money, about £1 million. The letter was signed Leonardo.
Signore, eccolo sul Gioconda.
A month later, the mysterious Leonardo instructed Signor Geri to meet him at this hotel in the Via Panzani. Geri took with him Giovanni Poggi, a Leonardo expert and the director of the Uffizi Museum.
The two men then made their way to the man's room on the second floor of the hotel.
What happened next, Signor Geri recalled as the most exciting moment of his life.
At first, all we could see was dirty, festering old clothes. But then we noticed the trunk had a false bottom. As soon as it came into our view, we had the conviction that this indeed was the authentic work of Leonardo da Vinci.
Poggi had been told by the Louvre to look for a telltale splinter mark on the back of the wooden panel. It was there. It confirmed that this was the real Mona Lisa.
The smile of the Mona Lisa was again alive in Florence.
Florentines are particularly proud that the picture was recovered here in Florence because they felt at long last the Mona Lisa had come home.
This was, after all, Leonardo's native city, the place where he first trained as an artist and where he first began to work on his most famous picture in 1503.
Leonardo the thief was also a Florentine, an unemployed house painter whose real name was Vincenzo Perugia. He claimed to be a patriot who had stolen the Mona Lisa simply so she could be returned to her motherland.
He was tried. He got 6 months, a very lenient sentence, incidentally. And in a way, he became famous. When he died, he had an obituary in the press. The man who stole the Mona Lisa. The Italian government was in a slightly embarrassing situation because there was a wave of nationalism. It was a moment where Italy was trying to build an empire in Africa. So the government was under pressure. This is, after all, our painting. Leonardo is Italian. Mona Lisa is an Italian woman. Let's keep it. So it was shown in Rome, in Florence, in Milan. It traveled, and crowds flocked.
Unfortunately, the French wanted their painting back.
She's then taken back to Paris in a train and welcomed by a huge crowd at the train station. And then for 3 days, there is a special exhibit with her, and again the crowds flock. So as you can see that the interest piles on the interest. Every little thing can be built up. I mean, one should also add that other paintings had been stolen before, and they did not receive such publicity. So there was something about the Mona Lisa, but particularly something about Leonardo.
By 1500, Leonardo da Vinci had returned to Florence. He'd spent 17 years in Milan, but it was no longer safe for him there. His patron had been deposed and imprisoned by the invading French army. By now, he was totally absorbed with his inventions and scientific experiments. He wasn't painting anymore. When he came to live here at the Servite monastery, the monks clearly expected some paintings in return for his board and lodging. But as one priest, Father Pietro, noted, Leonardo was by now weary of the brush. Then, in 1503, something happened to rekindle Leonardo's interest in painting. A woman arrives in his studio for him to paint her likeness, and Leonardo agrees. He begins work on the portrait that will obsess him for the rest of his life. So what happened then to make him change his mind?
Part of the reason may simply have been money. This is the Santa Maria Nuovo, a monastery and a hospital which also served as a bank. It was here that Leonardo kept his savings. And quite remarkably, his bank statements from those crucial months in 1503 still survive. They reveal that he was withdrawing 50 florins every few months and not paying anything back in. Now, we know he had an expensive household to maintain, so it's quite possible that he took on the commission of the Mona Lisa simply to get some quick and ready cash.
But even if he was short of money, why would he take on this particular commission while turning down work from some of the richest and most influential patrons of the day?
I think what is remarkable about Leonardo